Hey guys, I've recently been getting into Clone Trooper action figure customization, and I wanted to show you one of the figures I just recently completed. So here we have my custom 501st Heavy Trooper. This guy is kind of a mix of two pre-existing Clone Trooper designs. I'll throw up some pictures of the ones that I'm talking about. The original idea that I had for this guy was the Battlefront 2 original Heavy Trooper, the one with the rocket launcher. He basically is just a Commander Bakera with a rocket launcher, and I didn't want to make just that because everybody would know it's just Commander Bakera and not part of the 501st. So I really wanted to add some blue markings to this guy, and the only other Commander Bakera style trooper with blue markings that I could find was from the Coruscant Landing Platform action figure pack from a long time ago. And I really love the blue stripes on that figure, so I wanted to replicate that here, so he would fit in with my other 501st troopers. The comma that I used on the trooper is a gray t-shirt that I cut up. It's not the best because it is kind of curling around the edges a little bit. If I find another material, I'll probably use a better one in the future. Maybe something kind of plasticky that would hold its shape better. This one is kind of cool because it's cloth and you can kind of, pose it and have it move around easily. So it's not just a hard plastic shell. Another cool thing that I added is the backpack. This is a resin cast backpack that I got from Bounty Supply Co. For the little Republic symbol on it, I just printed off a piece of paper and then cut it out and then glued it to the back, just to keep it simple because I don't want to have to paint that complicated symbol by hand. That would just take too long. And I painted the backpack a darker shade of white than the clone armor because I wanted it to be a little bit different, just to add some variety. One interesting fact is that the backpacks in the newer Battlefront 2 video game on Clone Troopers don't actually have like straps that go over the shoulder like they do in the Clone Wars TV show. In Battlefront, they're just slapped onto the back, kind of like a magnet, which is actually what I used on this guy. The helmet is from Bounty Supply Co. It is a resin printed helmet of Commander Bakera. Obviously, I just repainted it to be this guy instead, because it's the same helmet. The rocket launcher and the little chest belt pieces I purchased from John Walker Customs. I'll link the website in the description, but basically I went with the RPS 6 rocket launcher, which is the one from the Clone Wars TV show, and it's a little different from the other one, like from classic Battlefront 2, which was a little bit bigger. This one's kind of more like an RPG kind of rocket launcher, and I think this one just fits a little better. I wish we could have gotten maybe this one or the other one in Battlefront 2's EA version, but we don't really get a clone rocket launcher in that one. We did get like the smart rocket launcher for the Jet Trooper, but that's a little different. For the base of this figure, I used a knockoff Phase 1 Clone Trooper that I got from AliExpress. It's this guy exactly, so that's what it was, and that's what it came out to be. These are fantastic for customizing purposes because they're just, a plain base figure that's very similar to the official Hasbro one. Unfortunately, Hasbro has made it borderline impossible to find this figure for anything below $40 to $50. So this one for like $18 is a fantastic alternative. Just like on all of these figures and the Hasbro ones, the knees are like attached to the thighs up here for some reason, which makes no sense because they're supposed to be on the knees, not the thighs. And the same with the elbows, they're like up here on the bicep when they're supposed to be on the elbow. So what I do with all of my figures nowadays is I cut them loose on the inside for both the elbows and knees, and they are a bit loose, but like it just looks more accurate, I think, especially on like this guy. When you paint him up, like you can really tell that they're supposed to be there and not, like that. So that's what I always do for the elbows and knees. Here's kind of a closer look at the figure and the weathering that I did. I tried to keep the weathering fairly minimal because I didn't want to just over weather it. I've seen a few cases of that and I'm just not a fan. So I went with a few black marks along like the edges up here on the chest and some like just light scarring, I think. I highlighted the edges like down here as well, and on the knees. I added some Tamiya Weathering, which is like a brownish color around like the knees where he would obviously be kneeling. So like if he goes to kneel, he's gonna get kind of dirty around the legs. And I also put some just on the upper body, just to give it a little bit of, diversity in the weathering, so it's not just all black. For the visor, I drew it on using one of these Gundam markers. This is in black, but they do have a few other colors. I did draw it in instead of paint it because I don't think I can hold the brush that steadily on such a small piece, and I think it came out pretty cleanly, which with the brush it might be a little harder, but maybe I just don't have the experience. But I'm pretty happy with it. I also drew in the little marks on the sides, which are nicely printed in, so you can just stick your marker in there and then draw it down. The little red dots on the back and on the front right there are just from a Sharpie. I just very carefully stuck a little dot from the tip on there, and turns out pretty good. The back of the helmet was pretty tricky to paint because there's like a gray area, and then right below that there's a black line. And that black line was pretty difficult to get on there, but you can barely even see it too, but I think it was worth it. Only you and I will know it's there. I also just took the marker and drew underneath those little side earpieces to highlight those a little better. For the chest strap area, just glued them down underneath like the belt boxes and around the back as well. So it's still kind of loose up here. I may need to go back and just glue that down, but it still looks really good. I put gray on the middle and just did black around the outline, so I'm happy with it. And to seal in the paint, what I did was coat it with some liquid varnish, like a resin. This is the one that I picked up. It's just kind of a sealer to help the paint stay on. I picked it up at the craft store, Hobby Lobby. It just kind of brushes over and it seals in the paint, so when you're like touching it, the paint doesn't rub off. It's really nice. And for those who are interested, here's the color of white that I used, and I think I'm going to plan to use this on all of my clones so that they have a uniform color. As you can see, Rex in the background has a very different shade of white than the others, and I want all of my troopers to have like the same shade of white. And here's the blue that I used. It's a different brand, but I think it matches pretty closely with the official Hasbro blue color, so you can look that up if you want to use it. And here's the black that I used, same company as the blue. And then for the gray, this is just an obscure kind of gray that I had lying around, but it matches pretty closely with kind of the darker gray, but not too dark. So those are the colors I used. Almost forgot to mention, but for the backpack, this is the white that I used. It's a slightly off-white to make it different from the Clone Trooper white. And then here is the gray that I used for like the cover on the backpack. So just to add a little bit of different color to it. I also put a metallic silver sort of dry brushing over top of the rocket launcher just to make it, a little bit more worn and to have some more character. You can even barely see it, but like around the edges. I might go back and add some more. It just kind of makes it look more metal and alive, I think. And also here's the Tamiya Weathering Kit that I used on the figure, just in case you're interested. The backpack is held on by a neodymium magnet. I put one in the backpack and one in the figure, and I accomplished this by just taking a wood burner tool and kind of burning a hole in the figure. Unfortunately, it kind of destroys the back detail on the figure, but I guess if you're going to have a backpack on it, you won't even see it, so it works really, really well. It's very strong, so it's not going to fall off. Highly recommend the silver neodymium magnets and not the gray refrigerator ones, because those are just not strong enough. I gave him a backpack because I figured if he's a rocket trooper, he's going to need to carry some extra rockets with him. And this backpack I actually plan to give to a heavy trooper from the newer EA Battlefront 2 that I plan to customize as well. And for his backpack, I'm going to give him a bigger one. This is an extended backpack, also from Bounty Supply Co. It's a little bit bigger. I just haven't weathered this one yet, but you can see kind of the difference. This one's a fair bit bigger, has a little canister down there. Yeah, that's the one I'm gonna put on him. Here he is next to some official Hasbro Black Series figures. As you can see, they're the same size, so they match up perfectly. And they're a great addition to my 501st Legion. I plan to customize more 501st Troopers. I just think they're pretty cool. I might do some 212th as well, but for now, I'm gonna focus on 501st. So that's it for this video, guys. I just wanted to show off my first custom figure. This is the first one that I actually finished. I have started on a few other ones that I'm eager to complete and show off to you guys as well, but this one is definitely a very good start. It's been a ton of fun customizing it, and I've learned a lot from people on Instagram that have way more experience than me. Before this figure, I spent a lot of time just looking over people's work in progress photos and like stories and everything, and just seeing like how they did stuff, and it took a lot of time to learn how to do it before I actually had the courage to try one for myself. One thing that I would say for those that are interested in getting started is don't be intimidated by others' work. I know like that's a huge issue that I've had for a long time, like comparing my work to others. So just don't get into that mindset and just do what you can do, and you'll grow and learn as you go. The KO or knockoff clone body is definitely a fantastic starting point if you want to pick one up on AliExpress. It does take about a month to get to you, so you have to keep that in mind, but it's totally worth it for such a cheap and easy figure to get to. So feel free to comment down below what you think about this guy, and if you want to see more videos like this one, feel free to like it and let me know what you think. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye guys.